What's up, everybody? Tindo here, and we've got a pretty big day today. We are driving a couple hours north of Phoenix. My father and his biker gang, I guess you could say, they're riding their motorcycles all the way across country, and they're stopping in Flagstaff, which is the closest point to me on their long journey. So we're gonna go up there early before he gets there. Full day of thrifting, because you know that's what we do on this channel. And then we're gonna go meet him. The cool part about that is because we are thriftaholics, we've got this giant bin of, I don't know, how many would you say is in here? 40, 50 Harley t-shirts, motorcycle t-shirts. So we're gonna go make it rain some Harley swag for those guys. Maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't be impressed, I don't know. Biker dudes. But either way, should be a fun day. I'm excited. We got Hannah, the dark princess of all that is unholy, and we're gonna have fun today. What, how far we got to go? 200 miles? 150 miles?
2 hours.
Cool part is it's gonna be like 110 degrees today, I think, here in Phoenix, but it should be about 80 degrees there, so I'm looking forward to that. There's only 3 or 4 really good thrift stores here in Flagstaff, but we decided to stop at the Savers first because we realized about halfway here that it is half off sales day at Savers, so this place is packed. I've been very excited about today's trip for quite a while now. Not only do I get to see my dad, which is always great because we live so far away, we don't get to see each other as much as we'd like, but also because Flagstaff is so beautiful. I always have fun going there. The weather is almost always perfect. I highly suggest going if you've never been, or if you're ever passing through Arizona, definitely swing through there. But there's another reason I'm excited about today, and it's because there are amazing thrift stores here in Flagstaff. There's not very many of them, but because there's not very many of them, they all get packed with all the local donations. And I am here to find the video games. And I've only actually been to this Savers once before, and I was very happy with what I went home with. But some things have moved around since the last time I was here. The games are usually sitting right here on the shelf where this Star Wars game was, and there was just a Star Wars Lego game, and I was like, don't tell me that's all there is. But I did immediately find these 2 Digimon VHS. Super happy about that. Anybody else here like some Digimon? Your boy does. But I kept looking. This gentleman here was very nice. He was looking through CDs, and he was explaining to me how he loves coming on the sale day, which is today, and buying half-off music. Can't beat half-off music. But I'm looking for those half-off video games, and I still haven't found them yet. But I found Hannah, and Hannah has found overalls. I bet she's happy about that. But it turned out to be difficult to find the video games because this nice gentleman was standing right in front of them. But eventually he moved on down the line, and I was able to look through them. And there was some good stuff. There was plenty of stuff that I already had. And you probably won't be surprised to find that there were plenty of games here also without their manuals, like those Little Big Planet games. I have both of them already, but I didn't have the Player's Choice edition of one of them, which I would have bought today, but it didn't have its manual, so I just kept going. There were a few rando PC games here, and yeah, like that PC Sims 2. Here's a Wii game I don't have, so I'm going to tuck that under my arm and keep digging. I'm really excited just looking through this stack because last time I was here, I got some pretty good games, and last time I was here was also a sale day, so I got them really cheap, and I'm hoping there's some good stuff in here. Skylanders, fishing game. What else do you need? Big buck game. You're passing on that one. More PC games. Lots of PlayStation 2 today. Always happy to see that. Some of these I wasn't sure on as to whether or not I had them, so I had to check my checklist. This was one of them, but it turned out I already had it. And look at this poker game. These are always exciting. It's kind of funny how many poker games there are for the PlayStation 2. I have at least 6 or 7. This gentleman stopped me once I got all the way through the games and asked me if I was a collector, and I told him, yes, sir, I was. But I did not tell him I was a YouTuber. I guess I could have, but I don't think he would have been interested. I mean, maybe he would. He was really nice. Maybe we could have got another subscriber out of him. I don't know. Here's what I walked away with from the first go-around. I do this a lot. I'll walk away with the games, I'll go check the rest of the store, then I'll go sit down somewhere and look at everything I got, make sure the manuals are there, try not to get duped, and then I'll also just kind of whittle them down and maybe buy the stuff that's not really pressing. Sometimes there's a certain set of games like the sports titles that I know will show up at the Goodwill bins, which you'll see we go to later. And that's a great place to get sports games because no one buys them in store. They get sent there, and then you pay like $0.25 a piece for them. But sometimes if I look at my checklist or I look at the value or rarity of some of them and they're not so likely to show up there, I'll go ahead and buy them. But that's why you keep a checklist. The electronics here were looking a little shabby. Last time I was here, there was some Sega Genesis stuff back there. Of course, that's gone now. It's been a month or so, a couple months maybe since I was here. Pro tip for thrift shopping. If you think you've looked at everything, think again. Go back and look at it again. Be patient. And sure enough, when I went back for the second time, here is a Super Nintendo game, which I do not find enough of at thrift stores these days. And of course, not only was there a Super Nintendo game, but there were a few more video games tucked down here on this bottom shelf, separated from the rest of the video games, which it happens. This stuff gets moved around a lot. And I was glad also to find that GameCube game. It was not a great title. It was a sports title, of course, but I'm always happy to find anything GameCube at the thrift store. I want that completed GameCube collection so bad I can taste it. So I'm happy to get those sports games out of the way. And here I am doing the dirty work of thrifting. I am consulting my spreadsheet. I keep a spreadsheet of all the video games and video game consoles and peripherals that I have so that while I'm out thrifting, I don't buy doubles. We don't want to buy doubles. We don't want to waste money. If you're interested, I keep a link below all of my videos to this spreadsheet where you can go check it out and keep up with my collection and see how fast it's growing. I do that because I think you might genuinely be impressed by the numbers. I am averaging a little bit less than 100 games a week right now, and that might sound like a lot. It is a lot of games, but it's not as much money as you would think. I am able to find pretty good deals at the thrift stores in my area. If you've watched many of my videos, you will probably know this to be true, but I think it's interesting to take a look at that spreadsheet from time to time. I've got a number at the bottom of it that keeps track of exactly how many games I have, and that number is constantly climbing. The higher it goes, the happier I am. This particular Savers does something that at least to the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure that any other Savers does. Definitely not any other Savers that I'm familiar with does this, but they have a random shelf of things up at the front of the store where they put nicer stuff. Of course, most Savers put stuff in a lockbox, but this is just extra stuff. And I looked through it and found this $5 TI 83. And those are going for a good little bit on the internet, so I'm thinking about getting it. And of course, here's a Sega Genesis. It had, I think, $40 on it, so half off today was $20. But that's not a bad deal. If you were going to go to the game store and buy one, you'd be paying much more. But I tend to pay just a few dollars for those at thrift stores on the regular, so I'm not paying that much for it today. And here's a PlayStation 1. Same thing, even after half off. It's just too much. And there's also a box of Skylanders up there, but it's nothing that I don't already have, so I'm skipping on that. I think I'll just go with this calculator. When we went to check out, it turns out this Super Nintendo game did not have a price tag on it. And the gentleman was like, well, do you know how much it should be? Which I thought was a crazy question, but also an awesome question. And I was honest with him. I said, all of these other video games here are marked $4. And he was like, that sounds great with me. So we paid $2 for it because it was half off the $4. So $2 for any Super Nintendo game, not bad in my book. And that was a great start, but it was very crowded in there. We're going to head to the Goodwill next. Hopefully it's not as crowded. They don't have sales going on right now, so maybe it won't be. So that was the only Savers in town, and this is the only Goodwill in town. And I'm super excited to get in here and to look at the games because the last time that I was here, it really was one of the best hauls that is on my channel to date. I got some great stuff, and I got it all cheap. So I'm hoping to do that again. And so I went to the lock boxes first, which are in a completely different place than the last time I was here. They were right in the middle of the store last time, and now they've put them up front. And last time I was here, they had a graphics processor for sale for a really good price that I really have kind of regretted not buying, and I was hoping irrationally so that it might still be here, and of course it wasn't. But there were a couple NES games, which is always cool to see. I wanted to get a look at the price tag on those, but not only could I get an employee to come help me, there were also people waiting in line to be checked out with no one there, and they kind of had those "can I speak to your manager" haircuts, so I just kept walking and decided to come back later. So back to the games now. The games were all right here last time I was here. I know I've only been here once, but I had such great memories of this Goodwill. I remembered exactly where everything was. But everything's moved around. This is the first time in the history of all my thrifting that I have seen video games on the end caps of aisles at a Goodwill. Really interesting. It's not really as much room as the games had last time I was here, but there's still a good chunk of games here. So I'm going to dig through them right off the bat. An Iron Man game with no manual, and here's a racing dirt bike game that looks interesting, and a copy of Jax 2, and a DVD of Ricky Bobby, out of place. Keep digging through here. There's a lot of stuff here that I would have wanted, but I'm kind of playing that calculation game. There's no huge sale going on here right now, so I'm just going to buy the stuff that's worth it for the $3 or $4 instead of the $1 or $2. Lots of stuff here without the manuals. This one, no game. That's a bummer. I definitely would have bought that one. Lots of PlayStation 2 today, all over the place. That seems to be what I buy the most of. I have probably now 200 or so PlayStation 2 games. It's definitely my biggest collection, and you can kind of see why. Right now is time to buy up these PlayStation 2 games. I really feel like a few years from now, it will not be so easy. But there's lots of greatest hits titles here too. A lot of them I would have liked to have bought, but I went through these games quite a few times, and I would say more than 50% of all of these games didn't have their manuals in there. There's one. Didn't have its manual, but the original receipt was in there. Great. Who does that? Now on to the rest of the store. I really don't know what to expect because the last time I was here I didn't really buy anything else electronic wise, but you never know what's going to be here. It'd be nice to go home with a couple of controllers, but right off the bat, you can kind of tell it's just a lot of miscellaneous. There's not even really a dedicated game section on these racks, which is never a great sign. There are floating couches, though. If you didn't catch those, rewind. They're just flying. There's some weird stuff here, some aftermarket controllers. A bunch of Wii's. A whole bunch of Wii's. For a moment there, I thought that was another TI-83 calculator, but it was a much cheaper, slimmed-down model. But I was sure to check that out. How cool would it have been to went home with 2 expensive calculators to sell on eBay and buy more games with the money? I don't know what this was. Some sort of light gun setup for I don't know what. And there were 2 aftermarket wireless GameCube controllers. And I actually like these okay. They are small, so they're not great for my hands. But you can never find them with the dongles, of course. You can never find old school wireless controllers, receivers. So I was able to get in the lockbox and get a look at those NES games, and they were $7 and $10, and here I am showing you a picture from my phone. I took a picture of them and their price tags so I could sit down and look them up. There was an Addams Family game, and the other one was a Puss in Boots, of course, not related to the Shrek franchise, but the original source material for Puss in Boots, and they were too high. They were great prices compared to internet prices. They're probably $20, $25 games on eBay. So that means that's a great price, $10 in person. But you know me, if you've watched my channel at all, we're looking for those cheaper games. We're looking for better deals. Man, I can't tell you how much fun today was because look, a Bookman's I've never been to. If you're new to the channel, Bookman's is a media store where you buy, sell, and trade books and magazines and CDs and video games. Video games is not their main business, but it is a part of what they do. And there are a couple of them in Phoenix where I live, and this one is up in Flagstaff a couple hours away, and I've never been here. And I'm very excited about it. I'm excited about it because both of the Bookmans where I live are completely different from one another, and I go to both of them looking for different stuff, and I'm just hoping to add this one to that pool and have another place to go to look for specific things. I just don't know what I'm about to get into. And right off the bat, they've got some pretty great lockbox stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here. That is more PlayStation portable games there in the bottom than both of the other Bookmans in Phoenix combined. That is really great to see. They have a pretty large selection of Game Boy games as well, which the ones in Phoenix do as well, but they're kind of just in a big basket and you have to dig through them. They've got them pretty well laid out here, so that's cool to see. It's just always interesting to see the differences between local stores of the same chain name. The GameCube section is pretty great, especially compared to the one that's closer to my home in Phoenix. Lots of stuff here. The one thing I'm not seeing, though, is bottom dollar bins, which
One of the Bookmans in Phoenix has, and the other one does not. So I'm just going to look around at everything and make sure that I'm not missing anything, but I'm not seeing bins full of $1, $2, $3 games, which means I'm going to have to dig through the regular games and find something cheap, because I've got to buy something on this trip, right? I can't leave Bookmans without buying something. Lots of interesting stuff in the lockbox, stuff for PC. They don't carry a lot of that at Bookmans, but there's always a little bit. Wii games, the Wii U games. There's a lot more in-box Sega Genesis stuff at this Bookmans than the one back home. About the same amount of NES, SNES, and N64. I spent a good little while digging through these PlayStation 2 games, and only really one game caught my eye. Well, I say caught my eye. It caught my eye and wasn't terribly expensive. So I ended up grabbing this Harley-Davidson racing game just because it kind of fit what was going on today. My dad and all his buddies riding their Harleys across the country. I just had to buy it. It seemed to fit. But also I checked the magazines before I left just to see if there were any gaming magazines that I needed. And I've actually never heard of Game Buyer magazine, but that kind of sounds right up my alley, doesn't it? I'm going to have to give it a Google and see what that's all about. If you have ever subscribed to this magazine, comment below and let me know what it's all about, because if I should start buying them, I just might. This was the second game that I saw today that had an aftermarket custom cover on it, printed by Hollywood Video back in the day. I like looking at those. And here, this caught my eye as well. West Wing Complete Series DVD set. Super expensive. I think they were like $100 a piece. I'd really like to have one, but it's on Netflix. Netflix owns the streaming rights to it, I believe, permanently. Don't quote me on that, but it should be on Netflix forever. Why buy the DVDs? My favorite show, though. And here is the only thing I left with, of course, that Harley-Davidson game. Definitely going to pop this in this week and try it out.
So it's pretty cool. It's neat to see another one of those stores. There's only 2 in Phoenix. This will be the 3rd one total I've been to. I know they have one in Tucson, but I'm not really sure if there are Bookmans outside of this area. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But I bought one game, Harley Racing, because it's kind of on point today with what we're doing. Lulz.
Last and certainly not least, we went to the Goodwill Bins in Flagstaff, Arizona. This Bins is nowhere near as large as the one in Phoenix that we frequent very often, but it is nice. And it's nice because it's different. If you haven't watched my channel at all, the Bins are a local warehouse where all the other Goodwills send both their leftover stuff as well as their stuff that they don't have the room or time to get into. They just send that stuff and dump them in bins here, which means sometimes you come here and this stuff was just recently donated and no Goodwill employee has dug through it, which is usually how you find the best finds. But I love frequenting the bins. I often find stacks of cheap games for next to nothing. And this is really cool because we've been to this Bins maybe 3 times. I'd say maybe this is the 4th time that we've stepped foot in here. And it's never been busy before. There's never been more than a few people. And I think that's because most of the time we've showed up, it's been out of season, if you will. It's just been a time of year where no one's really donating much because it's the middle of summer. It's a little too hot. But now that it's cooling down, people are donating more. And more of the regulars are back in full swing. So I'm digging through here just looking for any game. And most of the stuff that I find here is usually just like sports games or just nothing titles. I get lucky every now and then. Last time I was here, I found a moderately rare PlayStation 1 game that was complete. So if I could capitalize on that and do that again, I'd be very happy. But Hannah there, who just handed me my keys, she's digging through the bin full of shoes. This is interesting because our Goodwill Bins in Phoenix, they stopped doing shoes completely. And I don't know exactly why, but that's kind of an interesting thing with these bins. They're all different. Like this one brings all their electronics and miscellaneous out in these bins that they put on shelves in the wall. Whereas our Goodwill Bins in Phoenix, they wheel all that stuff out in these giant blue bins and you dig through it that way. I've been to probably 10 or so different bins around the United States, and they're all different. They all do something wildly different, and that's really interesting. Sometimes you've got to go in there and spend time in one of these before you really start digging in, or else you'll get in trouble because you won't be following the rules and you'll have no idea why, because they just do stuff so different. But there's a stack of Legos there I probably should have bought, but I've kind of stopped buying Legos recently. There's a store in Phoenix that will pay you for them by the pound, but at the moment they're paying so little that it's about equal to what I would spend on it. So not looking for Legos today. But yeah, these Goodwill bins are a great resource for thrifting. Wherever you are in the United States, if you're watching, sorry if you're not in the United States, I don't think they have these outside, but maybe your local thrift store does. But if you're in the United States, I know for sure, if you go Google Goodwill Clearance Center outlets, you will come up with a list of these all over the United States, and there might be one closer to you than you think. I've been in some random places all across the country and found one. Last time I was in Iowa, there was one there in the middle of nowhere. So just give it a Google and check it out. I was super excited to see this. I've always been really curious about how they do these bins right here at this Goodwill bins, because I've never been here when they put stuff out. The first time I came, I think that I had just assumed they refill all these before they open, and then that's all you get for the day. But I was wrong about that. They do replace them in the middle of the day when they have stuff. So now that it's kind of back in season, they will change out all these little bins a few times a day. I dug through every single one of them, and there was nothing I was interested, which that's just kind of the name of the game with these bins. You dig through them, sometimes there's great stuff, and sometimes there's not. Last time I was here, I got a Nintendo 64 controller out of one of the bigger bins here. So you've just got to look, you've got to put the time in, and maybe you'll walk away with something great. I really put the time in here in the book bins looking for video games, but I didn't find much. I found a couple broken up games, Rock Band game, and this Tiger Woods Xbox 360 game that was super rip, but it also had a reproduction label on it. That's kind of funny, but I'm going to think about this Wii game. I might buy it if it's the only thing I find. I found a Game Informer magazine, but it was one that I already had, so didn't end up buying that. This was probably one of the funniest things I found today. Lego Star Wars 2 for PlayStation 2. You open it up. What is it? It's a Grand Theft Auto game. Hilarious. Last time I was here, right before I walked out the door, I found a copy of Pokemon Leaf Green for the Game Boy Advance. And today, I was about to walk out and I found this little Kingdom Hearts Donald Duck figure. I didn't end up getting it. I don't need more little figurines, but you can't ever get out of this place because you'll always see something else.
And of course, just as soon as we wrap up our thrift shopping, it's raining. I hope it's not raining on my dad and his buddies on their motorcycles, because rip them.
What's up, my brother? Hey, girl.
So my dad ended up getting there safe and sound from the rain, which is great. And I want you to look at something. Is he small or am I large? I'll give you a hint. It's me. Because of the size difference, a lot of people have a hard time believing that he is my father. But he is. If I shave all that hair off my head, I look just like him. But I was able to get him a huge bag full of shirts. I think he took about 15 shirts with him, packed them all in his motorcycle saddlebags, and all of his buddies. I was able to get a shirt for all of them. We had just about enough for all of them to get one that fit. But we had a lot of shirts, but that shouldn't be hard for you to believe because you just saw that footage of the bins. We find these shirts there all the time. But I was glad to see my dad. Now let's head back to the game room and check out the games that I got today. Alright guys, we're back home in the game room. We drove 2 hours. And then we thrifted for about 5 hours. And then we hung out with my father for about 4 hours. And then we drove 2 hours back home. I'm pretty tired. But I'm pretty happy with what we found. It's really not bad. There were no super, super awesome games. I mean, there was a couple great games. Just, you know, I didn't find any holy grails today. Spoilers, I guess. But let's start with the non-gaming stuff. TI, what is it, 83? Yeah, TI-83 works perfect. It's on right now. I bought this because these sell for a pretty good little penny on eBay. And it was only $5, so I can definitely recoup some of the money that I spent today. As a matter of fact, I have a box of 3 or 4 of these, so I'll probably throw them up on eBay as a lot or something like that. and get a few bucks out of them. And then I'll take all that money and I'll go buy more video games. Do you see a pattern? So next thing I got, I was very happy about this. Not one, but two Digimon VHS players. If you've watched my game room tour, or if you've just seen enough of my videos to see my background, I've got a couple CRTs sitting around, and sometimes I leave them playing VHS in the back. And for the next good little while, it'll definitely be a Digimon VHS playing on my CRT in the background of my videos. Very happy about that. Next, this is not a terribly awesome game, but you might have noticed if you watched a bunch of my videos that I don't really find a ton of retro games while shopping for this channel. I mean, I definitely get some, don't get me wrong, but NES, SNES, they don't show up a lot, and when they do, the Goodwills, the thrift stores, they're pretty well aware that those games are worth a few bucks. So they're often priced a bit high. This is actually one of 3 cartridge games I saw today. The other 2 were $10 or so a piece. And this one was just a couple bucks, so I bought it. It is NBA Live 96. It's one I don't have. I have delusions of grandeur, thinking one day I'll have the whole SNES collection, so I'm even buying those sports games because they're easy to find now. And I've already got like 20 of them, so I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad anytime I can pay just a couple dollars for a SNES cartridge. So let's move on to my big stack of games. It's not bad for a day's haul. It's not bad for a small town that only has 2 or 3 thrift stores at that. It always seems to me like, man, don't you think that there's probably one dude that lives there that goes to Goodwill every day and buys every great game that's there? That's what I would do if I lived in a small town like that, which is what you should do if you want to have a gaming collection. Be at your Goodwill every day. That's what I would do if I lived there, but it doesn't seem like that's really the case because every time I go there, if that guy does do that, I beat him there, and I always get the okay games because all of these were about $2 a piece. Because there were deals going on, and so like all these were half off, so instead of $3.99 they were $1.99. Can't beat that. Let's run through them. Xbox Full Spectrum Warrior. I'm not familiar with this game at all, but cool. A GameCube game, never mad about that, even though it's a sports title. MVP Baseball 2005. When I saw this one on the shelf, I was pretty sure I had it, but I think it was like 2004 that I had. Call of Duty, big red one. It never ceases to amaze me how many Call of Duty games there are. Project Gotham Racing, great platinum hits for the Xbox. I believe I have maybe I have that on PlayStation 2, can't remember. It has, I'm really getting to the point, like right now, if you're watching this video and it's just posted, know that I'm in the middle of the struggle of having a hard time to continue remembering which games I do and don't have. Up until this point, it was just enough games that I recognized that, oh, I have that, or I don't. Now, especially because there's a lot of things like Sims, you know, that there's just 20 versions on 10 different consoles. Those are getting hard to remember the individual ones. So my checklist has become very important. If you want to check out my checklist, it's down below. It's just a spreadsheet. There are apps out there on phones that you can use to keep track of your collection, but they just didn't work for me. I couldn't put the right amount of information in that I wanted in the right order, so I've just been using a good old spreadsheet. Good old spreadsheet. So yeah, Sims. I think I'm skipping some here. Fishing game. What does that say? Rapala Tournament Fishing. Okay. Cool. Sims, the OG. I don't know if it's really the OG, but oh, I've been duped. Look at this. That is The Sims PlayStation. But open it up. What does that say? The Sims Pets 2. Or The Sims 2 Pets. I don't know. I've been duped. Hey, it happens. If you've watched much of my channel, you've seen a couple times I come home without a disc or with... You've got to check your games. I usually check them just to make sure the disc is there and that the manual is there, and I check the quality of the disc if it's a game that is anything above something useless like this World Poker game. I've been duped. Tiger Woods game for the Wii. I actually already had a copy of this, but the case was just entirely busted, so for the $1 or $2 that I paid for this, I just bought a new one. Wipeout the game. Now look at me checking all the discs like a responsible human being. I don't know anything about this game. Is it a... Oh, it's like a Ninja Warrior type thing. You get knocked off of stuff. This looks maddening. Why would you not just play Super Expert on Super Mario Maker if you want to be driven insane? Next, Freestyle. PlayStation 2. That actually kind of looks alright. I'm not gonna lie. I love some racing games. And then this is awesome. I love finding these, especially ones I don't have. This is Jam Pack. This is a demo disc. It's got a set of demos on the disc. There are several of these. I'm trying really hard to get them all. One of my favorite parts of my collection are my demo discs. I've got a lot of demo discs, and the number just keeps growing. I don't have a good checklist for these to see how many there are. I need to look this up. But if you have any familiarity with these kinds of demo discs, these jam-packed demo discs, comment below. I never heard of them when I was a kid. I never played them growing up. But now that I'm older, I find them really fascinating, the weird stuff you can find on them. Sometimes you get them, and the demos of the game on the disc were pre-release, and things ended up changing in the regular release, and so the stuff on the demo discs is kind of special. I really like that. Next up, Medal of Honor, European Assault. And you might notice something a little different about this. Some of you are really going to think I'm crazy now. This is the game, and I bought it without its manual, but that's okay, because what I was interested in was this artwork. This is from Hollywood Video. I think maybe it could have just been because of how Hollywood Video acquired their games. Maybe they only got the discs when they bought their games. They made their own cases and their own artwork. And this like grid on the back that you see here, well, this one's not gridded. I've got some that have a really fine grid in them. No, it does. It's just hard to see on the camera. Real small grid. I find this fascinating. So some of you are going to think I'm crazy because I collect these. Even if I already have the game, if I find the one that came from Hollywood Video, I buy it. I don't have a lot of room here in my game room, and it is filling up fast, but I am taking this YouTube channel very seriously, and I plan on a lot of growth. So, side note, thank you if you've watched any of my videos at all. If you're watching this video and you've watched to this point, thank you. I'm taking this super serious, and I plan to very soon expand into a larger game room, more set up for doing YouTube videos, YouTube content, more set up for collecting. And this is one thing I would love to collect. I can't wait to have more space to collect these. I'd love to just have a wall that looks like a shelf from a Hollywood Video, just like it did back in the day, with nothing but Hollywood Video prints on them. I love this stuff. This is my favorite thing to find in the wild. Demo discs and weird reprints like these. Just keep an eye out for them when you go to the game store. You may not be interested in buying them, but they're fun to look at. They have a lot more information on them sometimes than the original version does. It's a strange thing. Maybe now you're a little smarter or dumber for having listened to me. I don't know. But next, I'm really excited about this. Not something I heard of, but it is an Xbox exclusive. Brute Force. I don't know what this is. It's got a lizard dude on it. Lots of guns. Yeah, I'll definitely be popping this one in this week. If you know anything about this game, comment below, because that looks awesome. And then, this is really great. Dance Masters Connect. Yep, I'm trying to get all those purple cases. There's a lot of them. And then last, and definitely not least, and I thought this was funny and this fit today's theme, Harley Davidson, Race to the Rally. It's the only game I bought at Bookman's today. I went into Bookman's and just thought, well, I'm here, I better buy something. And I was just looking at the cheap games, and yeah, $4 for a Harley racing game. I'm into that. I'll actually put this in and play it. I don't know if I'll make a video about it. If you think it'd be interesting, comment below, but I don't know. It's a great, the game itself is in great condition. That doesn't happen a lot. Well, it has been chewed on. No, don't put the dirty game in your mouth. Gross. But that is it. That is all the games that I got. That's not bad. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games. 2 awesome VHS. Shout out in the comments below if you were a Digimon fan. This guy was. Well, +1 game. And a calculator for math. I'm not mad about it. I think this was an alright haul, especially just for a haul that was tacked on to a trip I had to take anyways. I'm happy about it. Comment below what was your favorite thing I bought today. I'm going to say, dang, tough one. Would it be silly to say the VHS? I don't know. I liked all of it, about the same, but very happy about these VHS. Very happy to find another great condition demo disc. Not mad at all. Maybe comment below what your least favorite thing I bought today was. And also, guys, I need you to do me a quick favor. Run over to my Twitch page, hit follow, so when I start streaming some of these goofy games, you'll get notifications there, and you can come and hang out with us. Also, here on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button, and hit that bell notification so that next time I post a video like this, you'll get a notification, and you'll know you can come and hang out with me here on YouTube then. And until then, guys, peace out.
Peace out.